Hello everyone, me Gyan Mohan along with my teammates Jay, Ravina and Suhail am going to present one of the biggest fraud in India's banking history. The Punjab National Bank scam relates to fraudulent transfer of undertaking worth rupees 10,000 crores issued by the bank. The key accused in the case were jeweler and designer Nirav Modi, his maternal uncle Mehul Choksi and other relatives and some PNB employees. Bankers used fake letters of undertakings (LOUs) at PNB's Brady's House branch in Fort Mumbai. The LOUs were opened in favor of branches of Indian banks for imports of pearls for a period of 1 year, for which Reserve Bank of India guidelines lay out a total time period of 90 days from the date of shipment. This guideline was ignored by overseas branches of Indian banks. They failed to share any document with PNB which were made available to them by the firms at the time of availing credit from them. Nirav Modi got his first fraudulent guarantee from PNB on March 10, 2011 and managed to get 1212 more such guarantees over the next 74 months. The enforcement directorate recovered bank token devices of the foreign dummy companies used by the fugitive diamond trader to transfer the fraudulent funds. PNB employees misused the SWIFT network to transmit messages to Allahabad Bank and Axis Bank on fund requirement. While all this was going using SWIFT passwords, the transactions were never recorded in the bank's core system, thereby keeping the PNB management in the dark for years.
So, how this fraud happened? PNB on January 16 said that the representative of one of the accused firm presented a set of import documents to the Mumbai branch and requested buyers credit to pay overseas suppliers. Since they had no pre-arranged credit limit, the branch official asked the companies to put down the full amount as collateral so the bank could issue LOUs to the authorize the credit. When the representative argued they had used such facilities in the past without keeping any money as collateral, PNB scanned its record and found no trace of any transaction according to the bank's account. It then found that two junior employees had issued LOUs over the SWIFT interbank messaging system without entering any of these transactions on the bank's own system. So that's why such transactions went on for 4 years without detection. Bankers said that in many Indian banks, the SWIFT system, which is used for international transaction, and the core banking system work independently of each other. In PNB's case, it is said that outstanding LOAs were not available on its core banking system, run on Infosys Finacle software, and so went undetected. So this is how the fraud happened at PNB.
So here are some suggestions to prevent such events in the future, which are for all the banks should review their critical systems and processes, including the IT segment regularly. Ethical banking practices should be preferred, and disclosures to RBI, SEBI, and other regulators should be made with consistent periodically. Banks should ensure that there are adequate system and controls in place to identify potential risk and that they are being followed at the relevant branches. SWIFT CBS linking must be made mandatory for all letter of undertaking confirmation from lending foreign branches must be done for each of the LOUs. So all the internal and external audit must be completed on time at branch level. The audit report should be shared with the government's auditors and examined by the RBI, which should conduct a separate audit every year. In the PNB fraud case, the bank has told the Finance Ministry that the last audit by RBI was done in March 2009. So training of bank staff should be undertaken for skill upgradation and creating awareness about the possible modes of banking fraud. Use of the technology for preventing fraud should be encouraged within banking ecosystem. New technology like blockchain can be used to record all banking transactions. Some experts have said that blockchain could have detected the first of the series of frauds in the PNB. And once a fraud is detected, it should be immediately flagged by the bank and concerned agencies dropped in for probe.
Internal controls in an organization provide reasonable assurances about achieving objectives regarding effectiveness and efficiency of operations, reliability of financial reporting, safeguarding of assets, compliance with applicable laws and regulations. The internal control framework basically consists of 5 key components that are: first, control environment; second, risk assessment; third, control activities; fourth, information and communication; and fifth, monitoring. So the benefits of strong internal control system is first establishing processes. So business owners develop standardized processes and procedures for their staff to understand and follow. They inform their employees of desired operations and they expect that their employees will support them as they perform their daily tasks. The second is segregation of duties, because properly designed internal controls can ensure that an organization has adequate segregation of duties, providing a system for checks and balances. The third is reducing fraud and theft. For example, an effective internal control system can reduce and likely prevent fraud and theft in a manner that vendors and employees as well as inventory is also kept in check. The next is producing timely and accurate financial statements. So internal controls can help employees capture and record transactions within the accounting records and ultimately produce timely and accurate financial statements. It can also help in reducing errors, because errors in a company in accounting records can damage relationships with customers, vendors, and employees, and they ultimately result in a loss of income.